Critical Tumble, where a bunch of longtime friends and internet nerds transcend geography through the power of Discord to play Dungeons and Dragons and critically fumble a lot. And somebody's echoing, and it's not me. I'm not sure if it's...
I think it's...
Brian.
Brian, is that you? Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, it's definitely you. You might want to lean back a bit.
If you sit back, we don't hear it so much. I don't think.
Is that better?
Yeah. Not really.
How do I fix? I have no.
Well, I think there you're probably okay because you weren't picking up that over when you were leaned back. So, fingers crossed. The only reason it really bothers me is because when I get the echo directly in my ear, it's distracting and that pulls my brain in directions. And I'm already having some sinus issues, and I really don't want to push my head any further than that. I think also part of it is I have to keep my volume down if I don't want to be echoing through you. So clearly more than one microphone is picking shit up or broadcasting shit. I really don't know.
Yeah, because we've now switched over to who's picking up stuff from being too close to their own sound setup.
And that's why everything from you guys comes through these. Then it doesn't come through here. Anyway, now that we've at least got some indication of what the hell is going on with various bits of sound equipment, because we're a cobbled together operation, crossing as we flagged up 5 time zones, 4 countries, and 3 land masses. So hey, okay, this bunch, the Cupcake Coterie, aka Ride or Die with Frosting, have headed down into the mountain range / cliff face that divides Equitas and Baronsvere. We're assuming that Equitas owns most of it, because there's apparently a gate that separates the bits that belong to Equitas and the bits that belong to Baronsvere, but nobody in Baronsvere pays that much attention to what's going on in it anyway, mostly because a lot of the stuff they have access to is Underdark creepy, so who can blame them? In any case, they're down there because they need to access the cliff edge, probably fairly high up from what maps have been able to tell them, to get to the Baronsvere-owned bits and deal with the ancient blue dragon that's been taking out Belarus mercenary resupply, reinforcement, etc. on their way because they are adventurers and they kind of need to replenish both party and personal funds. Are doing some side chores. One bit involves a couple of strategically placed, well-documented but experimental explosives. And another part is dealing with whatever critter they happen to head in the general direction of. In their case, a purple worm, mostly for the lucrativeness of murdering one of them things. Currently, they are in a spot called the Up and Under, in a tavern inn that is largely for whatever non-minor Yahoo winds up wandering through the place. And these Yahoos get to meet a whole different set of Yahoos who have not entirely introduced themselves because they are far too busy yelling at each other, or 2 of them are a dwarven woman and a half-orc gentleman, emphasis on gentleman, a dwarf who's mostly just holding up marks of 10 for intellectual points. You don't know what their marking system is, but honestly you're not entirely sure you want to. A gnome who is exacerbating things by spiking people's drinks, and a drow who's kind of hiding behind her book, praying none of you notice her. This is probably a completely futile hope, but she's doing it anyway because what else does she have to do? So yeah, you attempted to interrupt. You do know that these are the individuals who have made a study of the purple worm that everyone seems to refer to as Bitey, because apparently people study the purple worm activity in their various jurisdictions. but they're a little bit too busy yelling at each other over data points to actually recognize that you just want information. Not that they'd probably agree on the information anyway. Sorry, Smeagol, you were
Can I
saying?
insight check the drow to figure out if this is hiding because it just wants to avoid argument or hiding for obvious drow reasons?
You may roll an insight check.
Bink. 17.
Both. I mean, she was mostly just sitting there, kind of. Oh God, just don't let them not drag me into this. Let them not drag me into this. But the hiding increased when strangers entered. So yeah, kind of both, but mostly. I am drow. These are strangers. These people who are yelling over my head at least are used to me. I don't know about these people, so I'm just going to pretend I'm not here.
I'm
And
going to
occasionally
start moving in her direction.
Sees you
Slowly.
heading in that. He goes back to hiding under the book. Apparently hoping that one or the other of you has no object permanence.
Gonna settle down nearby and go. Them arguing is normal, and they don't stop, do they?
Okay, make me a persuasion check, actually.
Alright. Let's see how badly I bungled this one. 10.
You get meep.
Oh boy.
You get meep and a little bit further in the book to the point where she's probably too close to actually be seeing the words on the page.
And now I'm having Shinaira flashbacks.
She is a scientist, so you kind of get a slightly more inquisitive meep.
Well, I know a drow named Shinaira who is similarly meepish. And also far more insightful than pretty much everyone else, myself included.
To get her head a little bit out of the book, just kind of. Drow, the drow you know is meepy. This drow is meepy. Has it ever occurred to you that there might be a connection between those things?
Yeah.
But I suppose since you have a friend who's a drow.
Mm-hmm.
Are you here to murder us all?
Ooh.
She seems to be asking just for information.
No, very no.
Okay, so you know a drow who's not gone completely crazy.
Yeah. One who is also meepy.
I haven't met too many of my own kind since bad things happened, but the one or two I've seen, we tend to be that way because mostly strangers. It's torches and pitchforks. Sometimes literally. I have some very interesting scars. Just I don't understand why they have pitchforks this far underground.
Yeah.
What are they pitching?
Exactly.
It's tradition.
Why does your friend have a cow's head? She's a scientist. She has to ask questions. It's a thing.
That's Barnabas. He's a minotaur, but he's not from this plane.
You could have just said around these pots. That'd have been fine.
See, that's the point at which the drow sort of actually stands up, which does make them stop talking. the argument stops as they realize, oh shit, the drow moved.
That worked.
And she just points at Barnabas and says, extraplanar traveler. And they all stop and look at him.
Oh no!
Notebooks come out.
Before you ask anything, before you ask our friend anything, we need to ask you a few things. Okay? Deal?
Successful derailing their entire argument.
At one point, they look at you and they just go, they look you up and down, and the half-orc is the first one to speak and just sniffs. Mercenary. Typical. Well, and from that look on Darby's face, well, literally! Look at how she stands. It's more difficult to tell with hooves, but there's a similarity there. Just a little more upright. Were you some kind of law enforcement?
Actually, yes. That's kind of spooky.
It really is just Alice Ailey going, it is a very distinctive stance. The half-orc is exactly. And then he turns around to her. You wouldn't happen to be from up north, would you? Let me guess. You're actually more Demille than I was. Well, I was actually born with the people, but they were a little bit confused by my lifestyle. Not entirely unaccepting, simply confused. And the Urdeja thought I would be better off elsewhere, and elsewhere happened to be here. Then she makes a gesture, which is just, and he follows suit. So that's clearly some kind of greeting among them. Sort of going. At which point the halfling who's been judging and going, you know, this is all very interesting and all, and it's giving some of us data points for months, but perhaps there could be sitting, actual food, introductions. Introductions is usually polite. Besides, somebody needs to get some food into the stomachs of these two because of the. Don't think I didn't see you, Hoxa. Than that, you to everyone else, perhaps not to me. Evil little gnome. I resemble that remark. Floats down on his face. Then the drow just kind of. I helped. Can I hide now?
Getting my own seat. Thank you.
But that's as much affectation as anything else at that point. She doesn't really know what else to say, and Meep is as good acknowledgement as any. So.
Another meeper.
It's a reasonable sound, you know. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Hazel is finding a seat. I mean, it's kind of having to wriggle a couple of other tables over to sort of make this kind of Mickey Mouse head looking table conglomerate.
And I'm just going to gesture to Barnabas.
My name's Barnabas Stumplefink. I'm originally from a plane called Ravnica. Doubt.
Nope. The gnome whose name is apparently Hoxa is the only one not writing shit down, because even the drow has picked up a notebook, but the gnome is sort of digging through every book on their shared table, and there are a fair few of them, trying to see apparently if he can register that is a thing. And oh, there's gnomes again.
Yeah, I lost connection right after table conglomerate, but I don't. So I don't know if I missed anything.
Well, you missed Barnabas introducing himself,
I caught that.
Hazel introducing herself, and the note-taking extravaganza apart from the gnome who's
Okay.
currently digging through bits of book and looking increasingly disappointed with every single one of them. So he's clearly not finding anything about Ravnica in his stack of books taller than he is. And once it's pretty clear that that's all they're getting from Barnabas for the time being, they clearly intend to prod. They look back up.
Barnabas slowly backs away. Ever see a 6-foot minotaur trying to be the whole? I'm just standing here. You don't see me. It's not. It doesn't work very well. But the effort is. It's decent. A for effort, F for execution.
Barnabas, sit the fuck down.
Is
Alice Featherfall. Hi.
Darvin Taylor.
Remy Crustwind.
Ava.
They all look at you, and notes start happening again.
And me?
Apparently. All they
Can I
do
try
is...
and... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Can I try and figure out what they're trying to... Why they're writing down stuff?
Make me an insight check.
Because this is not sitting well with her at all. Right. Here we are. 17.
Well, everybody else gave first and last names. You did not.
Oh.
They are trying to
Okay.
figure out why.
Fair.
You can't tell if they've come to any conclusions, but you know that whatever conclusion they're coming to, there's apparently zero judgment about it. They are just in it for the scientific curiosity. It's a bit like the drow asking Hazel if she was here to murder them all. It's just we want to know the answer to this.
Mm.
I think it's Froseth and Clarity who are the last two who haven't.
Froseth, Rhymehook.
More notes. And all things considered, he knows why.
Clarity from nowhere place by the side of the road.
More notes. So many
Science
more
is the
notes.
question. And the answer is always yes. That is how this works, right? Science is the question and the answer is always yes.
No, the answer is always why.
The acceptable answers are yes, why, and more. This from the half-orc who's looking up from his notes and what does actually appear to be sketches of the three four actually who have garnered notes. He's quite a good sketch artist as these things go. So, I would suppose that it would be our turn. My name is Jahavarian Dicio Esfanderi.
Jesus fucking Christ.
He looks at Darvin like, are you going to make something of it?
Oh, no. I was trying to imagine how to...
the expression.
Oh, no. But, oh, no. I was just trying to figure out how to spell that so I can make note later.
He does actually spell it out.
Oh,
in the most disdainful tones possible.
Hey, I'll take it because it.
The dwarven woman, Aquilinia Cobansinar. Halfling. Old one Shatterstock. the gnome. Huxacle nosh. The drow is just. Do I have to? Yes. From all four of the other ones. And just. Kaisra Eshrak. They call themselves the first principles. We call ourselves the first principles, Kaisra. Well, I try really hard not to. Because it's a little bit silly. And kind of a bad pun. Puns are a cornerstone of linguistics.
Yes!
Yes, but you only need one cornerstone per corner. You can't build the entire structure out of cornerstones. That is structurally unviable.
Darwin just got this look at his face, like, well, yeah, but, okay.
Unviable. I once tried to build one out of the miscellaneous armor pieces I kept getting handed at Mount Paylor.
I'm
It
sorry.
didn't work.
Wait, what? You've got 5 scientists staring at you, going, what?
I went to Mount Paylor for training, and they decided that because I couldn't sit still, I was supposed to wear more and more armor in hopes of slowing me down. I had several extra pieces by the time that whole thing was over, so I just kept stacking them. It clunked me on the head when it fell over.
Which point the halfling is just sort of pulls out notebook. What were the pieces?
Breastplate, 4 greaves, gauntlets on top of those, then another breastplate. And I basically tried to keep making tables, and it didn't work.
It didn't. You did not have the structural integrity. It just starts sketching and then shows how you could have built a quite nice little forge.
I need a copy of that.
So, we're looking for a purple worm.
Which one? In unison, all 5 of them. Which one?
Bitey!
Well, yeah.
We already said that.
You were
Yes,
actually.
they weren't really listening.
You were actually discussing.
So they're sort of looking at it, they're going, wait, when did you say this?
While you were eyeball deep in
Debating.
discussion.
Well, therein lies your problem. You don't just throw a word into an academic debate and expect anything but for it to be batted back and forth. Focus. Ours was not on you. So why do you want to know about Bitey exactly?
Remy, floor is yours.
Because Bitey is apparently getting dangerous and rampagey, and we've been asked to resolve that issue.
The argument actually looks set to start up again right up until Kaisra stands up and goes, we've had this discussion. The cull is going to happen no matter what. So you can stop arguing over the necessity of it. The Aquilinia is just going, I still say we could relocate him. All it would require was to resize him for a little while. Where would we Jahavarian is where would we relocate him to? There's plenty of places up in Cragfear. It would take months to get him there. Those spells, we'd have to keep recasting them. Do we have any idea what happens if you continuously bombard a purple worm with magic?
Not to mention, then he'd be dangerous for someone else, potentially.
Alice is just also we're a little bit worried about some corrupting influences in Cragveer that we probably don't want exposing older, more dangerous purple worm to, because we've seen what happens if you expose some things to it. Even the mildest of that has given our monkly friend nightmares. So how about we maybe not throw a big purple worm into that? Because then it would wind up potentially coming back through here. And now they're all looking at Alice as crap. I see we have a lot to learn from each other. What exactly is it that you want to know about?
Where to find it? First.
Throw a rock.
What?
Hoxa is just, it's technically sort of correct. It's just that they have the purple worms, they have a tremor sense, and if you make with the stomping, they will tend to go, oh hey look, someone is ringing dinner bell. And they come and they jump.
But we need to make sure we get the right purple worm.
And just that one, preferably.
Preferably, yeah.
Be a little bit more difficult, but he is older, is Bitey, and tends to be a little bit more in his own territory, so you probably would not get. There is a potential for Sue, but Sue has been far more interested in Digger lately, which is why, says Hoxa, I am a little bit concerned about culling Bitey, because if we have Sue and Digger being interested in each other, that is a minor bit of a problem.
We're here to deal with the immediate problem, which is Bitey.
Really do not understand. Digger is another female. There are breeding issues here.
Yes, but how long is that going to take until there are more purple worms?
If Digger or Sue were also interested in Squirmy, that would be one thing, but Sue was predominantly interested in Bitey, and now Sue and Digger are a thing, and I really want to finish my paper on the relations between the purple worms and why this has become a thing now. But
oh boy,
you wind up having Kaiser just going, you know, it would occur to me that this would mean that Sue is bi, so we just have to make Squirmy more attractive to Sue.
confused head tilt.
Oh god, I can't believe I'm gonna might have to explain the worms and the bees to Hazel at this rate.
That is beyond us. We're here to find Bitey.
That is the thing. You are here to kill Bitey. And
yes.
If you kill Bitey, then we might end up with purple worm extinction event.
But I thought the problem was the worms.
The miners, but for the wider ecosystem.
The
purple worms have an ecological niche.
And we're only killing one of them.
Have you not listened to the entire explanation? Remy!
To be fair, I understand where they're coming from. I'm just not really sure how we could resolve this to benefit both sides here.
Everyone.
That's where I'm
Yeah.
getting
That's the
lost.
issue I'm having too.
Do purple worms release pheromones?
Part of what the argument has been about.
Oh, okay.
We don't have any conclusive data on this yet. Jahavarian is just, well, they must do. It just must not be on a spectrum level that we can adequately. If you do not have scientific proof, is Aquilinia's response, then you cannot base your theory upon it.
Hmm.
Are there other factors about why they prefer Bitey that you have discovered?
Aside from probably age or size or some combination thereof.
Well, I mean, let's stop there.
Well, this is what, again, this is the assumption, but since none of us can, we have attempted to speak with animals, but they do not exactly qualify as animals. They're not in the beast category. They're something
What?
similar, but they are not in the beast category.
Dang. Oh well.
We classify them as monstrosities.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's an important distinction. Shoot.
Well, yes, otherwise we would not be having this discussion. Although I suppose
Fair.
the other problem is it is rather difficult to actually stop a purple worm from eating you long enough to actually discuss matters with them. Even if they did qualify as beasts, because, well, they are very big and we are not very big. And, I mean, some of us less big than others. You notice the Jahavarian is basically the largest of all of us.
Fair point.
And he does not like to make too much mention of that. In any case, we have theories, and most of them are to the point of he is the dominant male. So it is possible, I suppose, that if Bitey were eliminated, that might make Squirmy more dominant appearing. But then again, Digger is somewhat larger.
Is there a chance she'll eat Squirmy?
Are they cannibalistic?
Well, if they get into a territory dispute,
Well, yes, true.
Eating doesn't matter. Killing. Yes, I mean, is your question predicated on the fact that it actually consumes the flesh of Squirmy, or is it simply a matter of making
hostilities more so than anything?
Well, they do like their own territory. They will only move into other people's territory for mating or after the first purple worm has already left.
I mean, there is also, depending on how we are able to, well, kill Bitey, to not put too fine a point on it, we could potentially bring back some of Bitey, if not all of Bitey. I don't know how big Bitey actually is and whether or not we could actually manage that, but for study, that's a possibility.
Point!
Yeah, Jahavarian looks interested. Aquilinia looks absolutely horrified. So does Hoxa. We are talking about the ecological significance of Bitey's death, and you are giving us, well, it's perfectly all right because you will gain temporary information from it. Limited temporary information. You are no scientist, sir.
No, I'm not. I am a bard. I'm not a scientist. But I'm trying to help.
The halfling is just sort of... I do understand that, but please do keep in mind that apart from Kaisra, I am more or less the only one who's even remotely interested in hospitality on the same level as I am about the science. And that is probably a species thing.
I apologize if I offended.
Jahavarian, you didn't offend exactly. You simply... You seem to be making light of the science.
That was not my intent. I apologize.
In any case, I believe that the sentiment involved here, I think we may have to have less a debate than a discussion and a vote about this, is as follows. You are going to do what you are going to do, and given that you are adventurers, a couple of you have taken some semblance of vows and thus likely take promises very seriously. You are going to continue your mission through to its end no matter what happens. The question is whether we assist you in that. Can we, in all good conscience and given our concerns, be of aid to you? We are going to have to discuss that. If you would kindly leave us to our discussion, unless you had any further... You do have Oldwin going. If you do think of any further arguments which are not trampling all over the scientific basic principles, then by all means do come back. But this is a thing that we will probably have to discuss and take votes on, because I understand, again, because I understand that while we do have to look after the wider ecosystem in terms of whether or not the purple worms are breeding, we also have to look after the social, political, and economic structure of Cabreval. And from there, the knock-on effects to the rest of Equitas and even some of Byron Sphere. So that would say that probably having more purple worms than are strictly necessary undermining our mining tunnels and such things is probably a bad idea. But I'm going to have to argue this against other ecological arguments. And you do get Jahavarian going, now you weigh in on this. Well, you were all into the natural sciences. What about the political and social sciences? I still don't understand how we're considering that actual science. Yes, well, you are from Belarus. Either you should know it intimately, or you're going to be so far up your backside. And you studied at that Wizard Academy, didn't you?
When should we come back after your discussion?
They look at him, but they look at Remy, and it really is just... You can see her about to take fire from all sides until Oldwin just sort of goes, tell you what, how about you all go and find yourself some dinner and eat it and have whatever kind of discussion you're going to have about this, if you can call what the... Jahavarian, stop it! And then come and check on us once you have done eating.
Thank you.
Kaiser over her book is just, sorry, I tried.
Darwin just quit back, like just backs up and like, oh,
Yep.
there's the door. I'm out the door.
No, Alice grabs it. We have to eat here.
Oh, right. Crap.
Remy goes to the bar.
As
Find the faraway corners or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Out of their way.
yeah, as we're clearing out of the way of the discussion, like once everyone else is shifted, I'm going to pause, stay back for a moment. I'm willing to bet that one of you has already suggested this, but beyond the shrinking, what about just a lure?
We have considered this, but what path would you propose we bring him down?
Yeah, I haven't managed to process that far. I'm just
No, I understand is actually a first scientific principle is quite good, but you have to keep in mind that they do not like going back through their own tunnels. Going through somebody else's tunnels would involve a territorial dispute that would just involve the kind of mess that we are trying to avoid. And honestly, a suitable lure would be somebody running. They're faster than most people running, particularly for extended periods.
Yeah, because haste would wear out and then lunch.
Monk also lunch. Eventually. Less time than haste, however.
There are things that can simulate running that go on for far longer that are mechanical.
Yes, but then you still have the problem of which tunnels.
But at least that removes a variable.
It does remove a variable, but you still have 3 or 4 different ones. And then you also have what if something else takes the lure and
Understandable.
deposits your purple. I mean, we did attempt something similar, trying to get Digger away so that perhaps Sue would be more interested in Squirmy, and then Cloakers ate it. You have to keep in mind that there is not just purple worms out here.
Yeah. In which case, best of luck. We will be back after.
Before I go out, I'll be like, this is probably a stupid idea, but
Can
then
we deal with Remy at the bar first, because
Oh,
Noms
sorry.
did say this like 5 minutes ago now, and everybody's been interrupting the poor dude. So.
Can I have some ales, please?
Did you see Darwin sitting within earshot, just very lightly?
Getting flapped upside the head by Alice. The deep gnome gentleman behind the bar looks up at you and goes, "Please say you're also going to eat things." They
Yes.
haven't bothered with eating things, and academia plus alcohol equals yelling. You've seen this.
Yes, we have.
We have. I don't know if there is a particular word for this in any of the languages you know, but it is kind of like pig.
That sounds perfect.
Yeah, and what you get is a platter of sliced. It looks largely like pork, mostly. You can't say entirely why it's different, but it kind of is. With mushrooms and some kind of root vegetable that looks almost, but not entirely unlike potatoes.
Thank you. We might need another one of these, depending on Barnabas's appetite. Thank you. Depending on how big this platter is.
Yeah, Alice goes and helps with the ales because she's used to carrying food and drinks to tables by this point. She doesn't ordinarily like to, but she's helping her so hey.
Aww.
Yeah, if Hazel's making that noise, she's getting that look.
And I say nothing.
Yeah, shut up and drink your ale, or you're going to be wearing it.
Darwin takes a sip and teleportation wouldn't get it far enough away, and I don't think you could teleport something that big, at least from the description. Oy. Well,
Besides, most teleportation spells have to be willing.
right.
The only ones that don't are mostly for removing extraplanar things that came here.
Yeah.
Forgive me for interrupting, but isn't this all kind of moot? The authorities seem to have said that Bitey is going to get culled, and I feel for the scientists, I do, but it seems like it's going to happen no matter what they want.
That's
Yeah,
what I said, but we're trying to find a way that works out for both parties because we be like that.
Mm,
That, and I mean, I get where they're, after with everything with Star Coast. I mean, I don't want to be responsible for wrecking another ecosystem, frankly.
I think those
Granted,
are
that one wasn't our
these are
fault,
two
and it was a little
different
different, but
situations.
yeah, I know. But
Darvin, Remy. Remy, you were saying?
Yeah, we didn't hear half of that over Darvin apologizing.
Those are two totally different situations, I think.
And I'm pretty sure Alice notes the dead silence from Frozen. he still probably feels bad about that issue with the gibbering mother.
even though
Which
Darwin
point-
Long forgave everything about that whole thing.
Well, yes, but you do have Alice sort of reaching over to Froseth, giving him a pat, and glaring at Darvin. You told me this story. Just because you forgave him, there's more to the world than you. It's okay, probably. Froseth will cope with a little help from his friends, and we're going to have to not let guilt get the best of us.
The only thing I can think of is, I mean, they probably don't work that way, but you know how some animals fight for dominance? The problem is that they need the females to like the other male, right?
Basically, yeah. Their big issue is that some of them are hoping that even if that whatever happens to Bitey, maybe Sue will be as I think they're all hoping that if Bitey is elsewhere, whether some other part of the range, Cragveer, or the bosom of whatever God's monstrosities have, that Sue will be interested enough in Squirmy for long enough to at least propagate the species. But they're not convinced of that because they have no scientific data to...
Well,
how the hell would we know what scientific
Yeah,
data
I know.
would
That
prove
was the reason I paused. I was like, could we get that? Well, that we don't know.
We do
Crap.
not have time to wait for them to gather scientific data.
No, that's because I was just thinking if maybe we get Squirmy to challenge Bitey, then they'd sort of see him as the alpha male, and then that would solve the problem. I don't know. It's probably
Ava,
stupid.
there's one... I see that, and I've seen that kind of thing in the wastes, and on one level, that would be great. If it was above ground, we'd have to try to orchestrate a battleground that wasn't going to collapse a mining tunnel, several mining tunnels, this village, some other village, somebody's mining camp. I mean, that's why we're supposed to be culling Bitey in the first place, because he's popping up in places he shouldn't be popping. Or they don't want him popping. I don't think he cares about Cabrera-Vala's ideas of should. Like, the only reason that we are trying to find a way around this is because we want their help in finding Bitey. So the way I look at it, and this is about all I've got, do we have to win them all over? They're going to take a vote. Yes, and they're going to decide as a team. But would any of them be willing to share? If they know we're going to do it anyway? They're scientists. They're pragmatists. Maybe? I don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, even after my
No, not you.
no, I'm just saying even after my I mean, they didn't all look horrified at the suggestion. Yes, it was a bad suggestion at the time, but
To be fair, they all looked horrified. It was just one was polite enough to understand that it was because you are barred and you put things
Right.
in the bombastic way. This goes back to our conversation earlier, really.
right.
But none of us actually know how to talk to scientists. I mean, apart from maybe Barnabas. Barnabas, you've seen arguments like this before. Do you know how to talk to scientists?
I mean, not really. Other than basically, you let them argue, and then you hit them with some sort of overwhelming authority that they can't deal with, and that tends to end it. I don't know if we got that here.
Probably not.
Probably not.
Because to be fair, the overwhelming authority is, quite frankly, Calatiel, who would probably just watch the argument and be amused.
And hold up scorecards.
And probably give a, may in Calatiel voice, may the best entity win.
And as funny as that would be, we need solutions rather than shenanigans.
the other question is, yes, okay, we could see if an individual of them would help. Barring that, also, what do we do if none of them do?
They said to throw a rock, and
Good
that'll get its
question.
attention.
Okay.
They risk us going after the wrong word in that case, too.
Which
That
might
is
think
a very
even
good point.
worse.
Yeah.
It's a good argument for whoever does actually try to talk one or any of them around.
Yeah, exactly.
DM, has Clarity ever read anything about? I'm not expecting her to have any deep knowledge of purple worms, but anything about purple worms?
Nothing more than has already been kind of, because I mean, you guys do now know, their approximate habitats, just not any specific way of tracking them in the way that these guys make as a specialty, what they eat, and the tremor sense thing. But I mean, that's actually a fair bit of detail for the kind of thing that Clarity would have read. And when she was hearing that, she was like, oh yeah, I read that thing. I don't know why I was in that section of the library. That was really not what I was looking for, but I remember that. But beyond that, there's nothing more, really.
Would she know whether they're sight blind?
Not necessarily, no. But anybody
Okay.
writing in the books, that the scientists might. But anybody who's writing in those books probably wouldn't have cared. Frankly.
Okay.
It's like, it knew we were there. We weren't looking at eyes. We saw mouth and we ran.
We saw click,
Fair.
breathe.
My idea sounds odd, but making a kind of bitey cologne for Squirmy.
That wasn't that the conversation that we were having about we don't know if there were if they are pheromone based maters?
Right, but
They're making an assumption, but they refuse to act on that because they have no proof.
correct. But going somewhere along the lines of what Ava was saying, we don't actually have to have a battle between Squirmy and Bitey. We could just have it look like we could have his scent over Squirmy, his blood and viscera and whatever, and
We would need to find a second purple worm, and it's
We'd have to find the
Well-
right. We'd have to find the right second purple worm.
I know, but that's
Do
it.
we
I mean,
know
it's-
how to sex a purple worm?
I don't want to
that's-
know.
No.
I already know more about certain things that I really want to know. I don't want to add purple worms to that list.
I
I mean, there's
that's
not
also-
really dating advice for purple worms.
Besides, blood and viscera have got to be different than pheromones, haven't they?
Yeah.
Correct, but my idea is more that to make it look as if Squirmy had killed Bitey.
Won the fight or something?
Even if pheromones are not part of their biology, then perhaps him having the scent of a freshly killed Bitey or a killed Bitey might convince the Sioux of some fake prowess on Squirmy's part.
And if, I mean, assuming we find Squirmy, because that's the other problem. Well, that's the initial problem. The second problem is whether, and I'm sure they're having some kind of argument about this all over the place. What happens if they actually form emotional attachments? And having Squirmy covered in Bitey's blood sends Sue into a rage, kills the only other available male. I mean, I'll put it to you this way. I mean, admittedly, I'm a sapient being, and we're known for emotional attachments. And if somebody came up to me, covered in Remy's blood, and expected to bone down, what do you think I'd do? And given the volume she's saying, a couple of the scientists have started applauding. What? And notes are being taken. Am I a science project now?
Yes.
We all are.
They apparently just think I'm insane, so whatever.
That
Or at least
doesn't make
stupid.
you any less of a science project.
And from Hoxa, no, we just think you're very, very human.
Darwin just sits there.
Why did that sound
confused,
like an insult?
a confused look on his face, and is just, I'm not sure how to take that. It's probably insulting. I'm just going to let it go.
Exactly.
I'm just going to let it go. He says again for Ava's benefit.
I wish I was more human, in all honesty.
Hazel, I love you the way you are.
Alice is looking over at them because, yeah, human. Who else is human? I am going to have to ask you to support your thesis, sir.
Oh, that's not good.
Darwin is just shutting up.
No, Miss. Well, that is the thing. Genetically speaking, humans fit in with all manner of other genetic lines, and somehow this is supposed to translate into social models. But genetic and social models are very different. And humans do not fit in so well when you put them in a mixed group, whereas any not so human individual will fit in better in a mixed group because they're all used to being in a mixed group because humans are the predominant. The insulting part is that the humans who are not so used to engaging with half humans or non-humans do not think they have to try. Whereas we have to try all the time, so it is our default state. This is a place where we didn't really feel we had to try all that hard, and then we have humans!
For what it's worth, I think I understand where you're coming from. Not fully, since, well, I'm human. So my experience is obviously completely different. But for what it's worth, I apologize. And I'll try to do better.
Apologize for your entire species, but for yourself, this is fine, this is good. You see, the shorter one, who I'm sure there is some dwarven in your heritage, and Aquilinia is just going, every time we meet a human who is under 5'3", you think they have well, that is what happens. You have dwarf with human, and you do not get half dwarf. You just get short human. Human genetics is endemic. Okay. But in any case, she has apparently had a much more dealing with mixed species groups. Aquilinia is going in. Then there's this one pointing at Allison. I don't even know what this one is.
Remy looks to see if Alice is going to do the thing. She's just watching.
You know, given that look, Kaisra, just to, and Mr. Bartender, sir, you might want to shield your eyes at this point.
Darwin just looks
Kaisra is
down.
immediately.
Darwin just is looking down, just like this. Just...
And the bartender is hiding under the bar. He expects viscera to be flying at this point. But no, just whoomph, wings, rises a couple of inches off the ground. My species is known as Azimar. Look it up. This will be going for another minute. Those of you who have issues with bright light, sorry. There are some things that cannot be explained adequately. And this bunch are taking notes as long as they can with the halo and the wings.
Of course they are.
This freaking glowing headpiece, just immediate note taking.
Oh, you know, headpiece, wings, flight. Well, if everybody else is going to get studied like a science project, they may as well get a load of me. It sits down, the wings just trying to ephemerally fold. Yeah, you know, honestly, I'm thinking turn around to the ones who are actually okay with the cull and giving them a quid pro quo. Because there's a lot of stuff that they could look up but they wouldn't get any kind of detail on. I mean, and she leans in further as the wings dissipate. Some of the things we could tell them, guys.
True.
I mean, to be fair, because they're scientists and because we kind of have a responsibility here, we have to tell them about black shit.
I was actually thinking along those lines
Yeah,
when you said the stuff we could tell them. It's like, well, I mean...
Yeah, but that we can't withhold. But that can
No.
be a show the Flash kind of situation, because there's whatever deal you got with Bahamut. Sorry, Ree, but there's you. I don't know how far into this Clarity wants to go, but there's somebody who's very big on the social models, who might be very interested in certain deals you've made. I think Ava's identity is a last resort. I don't see how they could do any harm with it.
Yeah, I guess not.
Froseth kind of feeds into Darvin's thing. Barnabas, they're going to ask.
I can tell them quite a bit. How long do we want to be giving them information? Because I can go on.
Well, tell you what. We'll each give them enough to be interesting. If they give us the information that we want, then we can speak to the rest of the evening and come back when we're done.
Sounds fair.
And we can offer them information about the kill at least. And whatever else we can fit into a day, because they're also going to have to understand that we have other engagements. For all I know, they might have some I mean, 2 of you take notes on a regular basis anyway. Getting on to 3 now, looking at Dervin. If there was a way that they could get hold of only the ones of those you want them to, that wouldn't cost us anything, and might be worth a fair bit. I mean, I don't think it would. I probably shouldn't speak for you guys. I mean, Clarity in particular, I know you keep things close to the chest. It's a thought. I'm checking ideas at this point.
I mean, as far as my experiences from the start of all of this and all the black stuff and all that, they can have it. I will gladly
Well,
give them.
to be fair, you and me, I mean, apart from my whole deal I mean, we're both bards. We are expected to tell what we do, what we've seen, what we know. How we do it is another matter, but apart from my being what I am, we're not going to be the interesting ones for once.
Fair.
Because
fair.
we make a living out of telling our shit, and the only reason that I might be more interesting than you is I am not human.
Right. And right. And it seems like it's almost like the more effort the information takes to get, the more interested in it they might be. Kinda.
Yes and no. The less likely they are to be able to get it by any means. They look capable of making effort. It's just we also have that whole thing where we are being prodded by various celestial entities that like us more than they like these guys.
Right.
And prodded by others that hate us more than they hate almost anything else in any of the prime material planes. And some
We make
of
an
the not
impact.
prime material planes. So, either way, we have means of getting thrown into information that what?
Yeah, I was clicking something to try and look at a thing, and instead it just blipped it out.
Okay.
Because I was just looking to just prestidigitate stuff. Like prestidigitate my ale first warm, then back to cold. Just to indicate to...
You're just playing with it now.
Yeah, basically, and also to use it as an example for effect when Alice mentions the deities thing, just to have that mark start doing its thing to do the prestidigitation.
Oh, yes, these!
Right!
Yeah, we have so much data to trade. As long as nobody's eavesdropping.
Yeah, we are sitting on a mountain of information, and I'm going to quickly look around, being
I'm gonna
very
keep an eye on
unsubtle about it.
Perception check from anyone who's looking.
I am not subtle, and I am not observant today. That is a 6.
And I got an 8.
Ooh, 17.
Hot damn!
20. 20 for me and Bride.
Yes. Effectively, unless these guys can read lips, they're probably you're probably safe. And given that half of you aren't facing them anyway, they're not getting much. If they are, they don't necessarily seem to be, but they're obviously watching you because they don't want you to wander off without getting some kind of verdict either way. But mostly it's just occasional glances up, but the one who's watching you most is Kaisra, mostly over a book. Like, you people are weird, but you're at least more friendly kind of weird than... Yeah, okay. Oh shit, it's sort of... They look like they're having a good time. Oh shit, they're looking at me.
Poor Ezra.
Well, she's kind of got these officious individuals. If it weren't for if it weren't for the halfling, she'd probably be in a lot more dire straits. So, I mean, seriously, how are we going to approach this? I mean, Ree's been our spokesperson up until now. He's had the best luck with it anyway, but
Yeah.
at the same time, Froseth, in his own quiet way, when nobody's looking at him or expecting him to talk, is the one who's actually come up with the brighter ideas. So maybe we could just have him quietly in the background coming up with the sensible shit and giving them to a spokesperson. And it seems to be the only way he's comfortable in letting words come out.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah. Outside of all of that, though, Kysra, I'm just wondering, what are the chances of her having known Shinaira at any point?
Guess that would depend on whether they were. I mean, the names are kind of similar, and she's in the same approximate part of the world. But would either of them remember after massive trauma?
Probably not.
And even if they did, what would you do?
I'm mostly trying to wrap my head around if it's worth even bringing up any further, and if so, what would be the point?
I think the person we'd have to ask about that would be Froseth, because he's the only one who could even conceivably imagine that position. If by some chance you could actually potentially remember somebody from your town who wasn't your and that's another one you can tell them, your resurrected little big sister. Would it be worth saying that somebody else from your township is alive? What would you rather know? Tell you what, we've reached break point, so you do have Alice just nudging a plate towards him. Give an answer after you've had some thinky and some food, okay? So we'll give you the 5-minute break point to actually consider an answer to that question, because I know we kind of put you on the spot. We put Froseth on the spot, but it kind of came up. So
Yeah.
but let's face it, given particularly Hazel looking at him like that, an answer is going to have to be forthcoming. So you have until the end of break to consider what Froseth's answer to that would be. And I'll see you in 5 minutes. And we're back after a slightly longer break than usual, but we've all got political fuckery we need to get off our chests, and this is as much the point of this as any actual gaming. But the gaming is a good palate cleanser, so yes. The gang are eating dinner, which is it's kind of like pork, but it's weird. The meat is lighter, but it tastes darker somehow. And the not entirely like potatoes things. I mean, they're kind of shaped like potatoes, but you open them up and the flesh inside is this kind of off purple shade. And a couple of you made some really good perception checks earlier. What part of the distraction is that, you know, some of these roasted tuber things kind of look like they have faces.
I've never been so glad to roll an 8 in my life.
Ava, what?
Sort of point to the tubers.
Oh, yeah, I thought those tasted familiar.
What?
Screaming yams.
Screaming.
Screaming.
Uh-huh. We'll get
Well,
to you in a second. First, Seth, I'll distract some
Glad
attention while
they're
you
not
think.
screaming now.
Well, no, because they're kind of cooked. But yeah, basically, they don't normally unless you're walking over their patch, at which point they kind of scream and hop around to try to confuse any predators that might be after them, and then they bury themselves again.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh, they're really tasty.
Do these count as vegetable or animal?
We still consider them. They're tubers. They're just more active tubers than.
I mean, we have been attacked by cacti before.
Yeah.
And vines.
Yeah, I'm still really glad I wasn't there for that one. So yeah, Verseth, seriously, what do
Okay.
you want to know?
Well, for one, like, I'm not sure my situation is exactly the same as hers. A lot of before I found out what I had, whatnot, was me wanting to know how and why I ended up where I was. With family being a big part of that. This stuff that happened with the drow, we kind of have an idea what happened there. So her internal questions may be completely different from what I was thinking there.
You know, at the same
For me,
time, did your worldview, well, your look at it, not change when you found out what the situation was?
yeah, finding out what the situation was made me like it took a large weight off me. Because there was always that question about why was I left, but like I don't know, everything I've got now I'm happy with. Like, if there was someone out there from my village that I didn't know about, if they're going about their lives, I'm not sure I need to know. But if I had other family out there, I'd probably want to know that.
I guess I just, how would you know that
Yeah,
that person from your village wasn't like a cousin or something?
yeah,
Unless you
I-
met them.
yeah. I don't know. It's. I don't think I'd be any worse off finding out. Like, I don't know. It's I don't think I can properly articulate something until it's kind of there.
Basically, what you're saying is it wouldn't necessarily be better, it wouldn't necessarily be worse, it would be different, and
Yeah.
their reaction to you and your reaction to them would inform a lot about whether it was actually better or worse.
Yeah.
We can't exactly tell her where Shinaira is if by some far-reaching thing she did actually know her. Could we? I mean, I don't know
Should
if
we?
it seems like a good idea. That's the thing. Shinaira's got a
Yeah.
lot going on.
Yeah.
So tell this woman there's another drow that you may or may not know and you cannot talk to even if you do.
I mean, would it be worth? Do you guys think it would be worth knowing that there is at least another drow out there that isn't
Well, we
What-
told her that much.
like the rest? I guess.
Well, she does. Bree has a point. She already knows
Oh, we
that.
did.
But
Okay.
well, certainly intimated it because we mentioned we know one, and there was Hazel going. I know one who makes that noise, and did explain that did not mean that we were murderous.
Oh,
If we were friends with anyway. No,
right, yeah, okay.
I suppose my thing is, as far as telling them or not telling them is concerned, I suppose for Shinaira's safety, I think my thought is that if this lot knew, I don't think they'd make a paper out of it until they had more data, listen to them about the data. So they'd have to go and study what was going on in Baronsphere, which might give them some interesting ways of dealing with whatever's going on in Baronsphere, which is an A point. And then the B point, if they had insalubrious intentions towards Shinaira for some reason, that bunch versus Twilly and Miranda. Who
Yeah.
do you think would win?
Yeah.
Oh, they would
Yeah.
regret that.
I
very
mean,
much.
hell, them against even Skylar for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Skylar and Faraday would kick their ass.
I think
How
Tick,
loud do you
tick,
say that?
boom.
Because I have a feeling that if they've managed to survive long enough to tag purple worms in the wild,
Fair point. Fair point.
let's not be too judgmental just because they use big words and write down notes. I mean, Barnabas does that, and we've seen him.
Fair point. I apologize. Just the idea
the
of
whole barrel.
Skylar and
Barrel
Faraday
fun.
being all badass, I couldn't resist.
Fair, but I don't think they've got to the point of giving Skylar an actual metal sword yet. Never mind one with an edge.
Mm.
I mean, she could crack hell out of somebody's head with a wooden spoon given enough time, but also
Yeah.
let's not tempt Skylar and Faraday to follow in Big Brother's footsteps.
Probably not best
They're
not to.
already plotting that.
They've
But
been
at
doing
least
that
right,
well enough.
at least right now they're plotting it when they're older, so
Yes.
they don't worry Big Little Brother. But so yeah, I guess that's our thing. Whether or not they decide, whether or not they've made up their minds yet, because they're looking at us occasionally, but they're mostly still just talking, as far as I can see. I mean, we could either walk up to them and, well, I suppose Ree is our spokesperson now. Could walk up to them and give our offer. Or we could wait for them to make that decision before we do. I don't have a preference either way, but I think I'd prefer. Okay, no, maybe I do actually have a preference either way, because you see, on the one hand, we're risking instigating a rift in a group. I think we've all seen what can happen to a group that's struggling with acting against itself. I seem to recall being told about a particularly impassioned speech that I'm very, very sad I missed as regards our own.
They did say they were going to debate and take a vote.
Yeah, but if we catch them before the vote, we don't have to worry about asking some of them to go against the vote if they vote not in our favor.
Remy looks to them and tries to gauge how
Insight.
loud they are, and
they're funnily enough
potentially
now they're
debating.
not being particularly loud. They're still talking. There's been no, from what little you can tell, which isn't much because academia is not really your thing. They're still doing the huddle, and Kaisra has not come out much from behind her book yet, and you can imagine that she would have done if voting was happening.
It's
So
like evening, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's kind of late dinner. You did have a couple of miners come in during some of the argumentative phases and walk right back out again and find another tavern. So you have the place basically to yourself. Although Alice does say, okay, while we're debating this, you know what I think we should do. But I'm happy to go along with. I'm gonna see if I can get us rooms. Do we have any sharing preferences? Because I already know one.
Not really.
I don't.
Remy very tries to subtly look to other certain people,
No.
see what they're thinking.
Yeah, and Ribby
Good
does
wherever
get
you want to put me.
Roseth, Barnabas, you want a room?
phrasing.
You want to bunk up to get? Wait, no, that's
And
worse.
just
That's
and
worse.
just doing glide.
There really is no way to say that can't be construed. Damn it!
I'm happy to be by myself if that makes things easier.
Sorry, but the look on Clarity's face, I'm not sure it does.
Either way,
No, nobody by themselves.
honestly, I don't mind. Entirely
we get up?
At which point Alice is just going, you can't fool me, Rika. You just want the luxury of having a room all to yourself, little baby girl.
Well, it's mostly, yeah, hopefully Hazel won't knock me in the face when...
She's currently Alice is looking between Clarity and Ava and trying to decide who she wants to give the out to. And at the end of the day, Ava wins out. Just. She's fond of them both, but well, you know, if Ava's happy to plunk down a little bit extra on the currently we've lost a Barnabas. We'll fill him in later. If Ava's happy to plonk down the extra for a solo room on the debt she already owes me, we'll do that.
My money?
And you know what? While I know that Froseth and Darvin are pretty used to sharing a room, I think while Barnabas is used to, what the fuck is happening with Discord today?
No, look at the computer.
Okay.
Continue.
Well, no, it's just because we lost a Barnabas. So that's like, and you know, Barnabas is generally so sensitive about his comparative size, and let's face it, while they probably do have some rooms that will manage more than one average or above average sized sapient being, I'm sure it would be more comfortable for the big one that doesn't fold to have his own room. I'm sorry, but you bend like a reed in the wind. So it's a thing. And besides, you and Darwin have been sharing space since the beginning. You must be used to it by now.
Sorry about the snoring again.
That was fun phrasing too.
I was going to make mention of the Hazel Clarity cuddle pile, which has also been there since the beginning, but I was going to spare you the blushes, but since you flagged that up, I thought, why not carry on with it? It just gives her a dweep on the nose. Right, going to get rooms, you guys make some decisions or something. Do we want more ale, and do we want to see what passes for dessert in this place?
Yes.
Yes, on both counts.
Sure.
I'm curious. And turning.
It is time for surprises!
I was waiting for that.
A random drink. As long as she promises to drink it only after all the decisions have been made.
You got it.
Anybody else want a taste of random?
I'm
No.
good, thanks.
Not right now.
Well, that's why I'm making Hazel save it for later. This is a pre-bed randomness.
Turning back to everyone, just real quick, I agree with Alice's logic. I think hitting them before the vote's final is probably the best course of action. I don't have any. Again, though, I don't have any particular preference. Probably, I would say I would lean more toward that. But if y'all decide to do it after, okay.
And that being the case, decision needs to be made soon, and spokesperson needs to be over there also soon. Because you don't know how long they're going to be discussing this. It could be all night. It could be the next 2 minutes. You don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, given how they don't seem to manage to agree very easily, we probably don't have time to wait for them to get to a vote. I mean, we don't want to let the dragon thing go on much longer. I mean, it's been.
Well, to be fair, Ava, as long as they're not trying to send people across or out, the dragon's not yet causing any more havoc right
No,
now.
but then supplies aren't getting in.
But
Remy.
right.
Remy. He's saying as long as they're not sending more people out, you know Belarus mercenaries better than almost anyone who's actually logged in at present, in point of fact, because Barnabas would know, but he's not here right now.
Router resetting.
They took a pause, but given Belarus mercenaries with a contract, they're gonna try to find a way to keep trying.
We should be making every effort of reasonable haste towards that dragon.
Okay. Was I wrong?
A little bit. They'll
Sorry.
try soon enough to get those warriors moving again.
Right.
And there's
Okay.
people in Golden Dale, it is, and they need support.
Right. Sorry. I didn't mean to come off like I was trying to impugn them. They're.
You're fine!
Okay, I'm gonna shut up
your
now.
head.
Alice comes back with a tray of weirdly it's lots of mugs, because one seems to be a drink and one seems to be cake in a mug. with icing as the foam, and she's sort of going, sometimes just stop at okay, sorry. We don't need to know why you're sorry or why you said what you said. Sometimes we just need sorry and silence. There's a gesture actually that I really need to teach you guys before you meet with the people. It's probably best you practice it now, some of you more than others. It's a mark of respect and an apology. Basically, touch temple, touch under the eye, touch ear or ear equivalent, looking at Froseth, and then 2 fingers across the mouth. It translates to, I will think, I will watch, I will listen, I will shut the fuck up.
That's a good sign.
Keep practicing that one, Darvin. I foresee.
Oh, I'm going to. I need a lot. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Froseth will probably use it once and then never say anything ever again among the people, even though he would be the one who could actually talk to them, but he'd be like that sometimes. Anyway, yes, apparently we have cake in a mug.
That's convenient.
That's most definitely surprising.
Unfortunately, the flavors are a little bit random. Oh yeah, and speaking of surprising, the one non-mug thing on that is this really pretty little. It's kind of like a brandy and Benedictine glass, kind of this little tiny fancy stemmed glass that is filled with this faintly bubbling, very virulently pink liquid.
I didn't think you could get that color outside of.
Interesting dye plants and magic.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure the plants down here are pretty interesting, and magic works just about anywhere.
Double yep.
So, that color.
This is going to be entertaining later.
Also, I got coffee with this kind of. They just said it was ground nut liquor. Smelled nice. Yeah, basically what you've got is the equivalent of a Reese's peanut butter cup in a cake. And that's kind of what the coffee tastes like too.
It's just maximum peanut butter.
So, did we come to any conclusions while Darvin was not doing?
Well, we kind of agree that we probably want to get them before the vote, because knowing them, it might take a long time for them to get to one, and we don't really have time for that.
Yeah,
no one mentioned any limits.
You know, they still seem to be debating matters. So, I mean, Bree, you want to interrupt their debate once you've finished your? Oh God, it's a cupcake.
Leave it to the bards to find the pun.
Okay, so we.
They made a dessert pun, literally.
It is a good one.
You're muted.
Okay, so we.
Apparently, the cornerstone of dessert making here.
So we offer some of our more.
She
unique
grabs Darvin by the
experiences.
face again. Yes, as long as we can write him a script. Let's go.
I mean,
She just carried him by the face.
gets up.
No, she just grabbed by face and smoosh.
Yep. So hence the, and then she lets go, and it eventually just kind of.
Sorry about that.
Welcome
Okay,
back.
Barnabas has his own room and a peanut butter chocolate mug cake. I mean, cupcake, but you know. It is a cake in a mug, but
Ooh.
because cup is another word for mug, it's a cup. And yeah, I only just thought of that. Okay.
Whammied yourself with a pun before you even realized.
There's also there is coffee with a sort of a peanut butter chocolate liqueur,
Nice.
and Hazel for later has this little pretty small stemmed glass of something faintly bubbling and bright pink. She got a surprise me drink, which she's not allowed to have until the dealing is done. Anybody sings the gambler, they will be instantly shot.
I'm not
Only
going to say
fair.
I didn't think it, but I wasn't going to do it.
Anyway,
Remy
Not
gets
so
up,
bad timed.
starts going to the scientist table.
yeah, there's still the debate. There's still sort of there's still there's still arguments to the effect of Aquilinia going, well, they're going to do it anyway, and Jahavarian just sort of going, yes, but we don't have to help them. At which point, Kaiser stands up again and is, oh, look at Kaiser. Are you going to keep doing that? It's the only thing that stops you. And sits. Boink. I'm only here for breaking ties, by the way. You're there for a lot more than that, Kaiser. I like to hide my light, such as it is, under a bushel barrel. Thank you very much.
So,
I take it you have something to sway the vote one way or another.
we are going to be dealing with the Bitey issue one way or the other, but we were hoping that he might be more amenable with in exchange for some of our information about our experiences, because we have more than a few unique individuals and not just a minotaur from another world.
Getting some interested looks, but Jahavarian in particular is, I'm afraid we're going to need a little bit more clarification than that. One person's, I mean, everything is unique, but there's unique but mundane and unique but scientifically interesting.
I don't really know anything about science, but I have a literal mark from two gods. And my friend over there has a unique relationship with Bahamut, and you've already seen a little bit of what Alice can do.
And the two that won't give surnames?
Yeah, I'd say they're unique in their own way. Oh, and Clarity's recently made friends with an Archfey queen.
All of a sudden, Clarity feels the focus of 4 scientists and Drow even peeking up over, and the expression on their faces does not take an insight check to determine it is, have you lost your fucking mind?
Remy,
I look back at her after that. Jahavarian is just, I apologize, some points need to be made pretty much immediately. And you're telling me that the privileged one, gesturing in Darvin's general direction, is somehow having a special relationship with Bahamut?
Yep.
I didn't think the Platinum Dragon of Justice and Honor swung that way. He's getting groans from around the table. That is just theologically speaking. I thought he was more of a lawful good sort of individual.
I think we're doing something lawfully good here, and Darvin's been on his own journey.
Assuming they're looking at me, and if assuming Darwin can tell.
Well, there's been the occasional glance,
Oh,
really.
okay. In that case, never mind.
But beyond that gesture, it's mostly the focus has been on Remy. Beyond that one look at Clarity, like what the fuck?
No problem then. Never mind. Thank you.
Well, you certainly seem to have some interesting stories, and I do appreciate that you didn't send through the, well, frankly, the bard. Possibly bards, plural. We're not really sure about the. Huxa, have you come up with anything? Because he's still in the middle of that stack of books of apparently trying to figure out if that's the stack of books you go to when you're trying to figure out a species. Nope, it still says that minotaurs are feral and the only things with wings are like pixies. We really need to update our literature.
He's not from around here. But yes, we were hoping that knowledge is what you would find the most valuable form of trade, and we would greatly appreciate your help so that we make sure we find the right purple worm.
Make me a persuasion check.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Alyssa does tend to watch her girlfriend. And does note the particularly dubious expressions on the faces of individuals. So she goes, excuse me, guys. Common sense plus charm to the rescue.
Good luck.
And steps over and goes, okay, where are we at? Your champion, girlfriend, comrade, all of the above, is trying to convince us that personal gain is a suitable exchange for the potential ecological devastation. Actually, she hadn't quite got to the part properly anyway about us really trying to use that particular deal as a sweetener to prevent more ecological devastation, because if we go out there and we kill the wrong one, or if another one of them hears us and comes after us, and we somehow manage to kill both or at least hurt one and kill the other, then you lose even more. We're rampaging idiot adventurers causing ecological devastation wherever we go. Doesn't that piss you off? I mean, there's so much, probably. I mean, I've been in caves. I've been in caves in colder climates, but I've been in caves. I'm pretty sure that the cloaker population is just fine with a cull every now and again because they're probably sort of mid-tier on the food chain. But even that, we have to kill too many of them by tromping around randomly looking for a purple worm and not even knowing that we're killing the right one. And oopsie, we're causing some kind of extinction event in more than one species instead of maybe causing one, when we could be solving the problem by having your bisexual purple worm decide that they at least want to breed briefly before they go back to what is frankly the better option. No, looks over. They look at her and they look over at Remy and they're like, "Is that what you were trying to say?" Did you decide that after you heard it?
Yeah.
long as we know where we stand.
Oh, no.
And why were you the one they sent?
So Alice needs a break every now and then.
Also, I got the impression you didn't want to hear from Bards. They actually look embarrassed. Okay, that's... Okay, so... And Jahavarian gives a quick once-over at the table. Extraplanar traveler. Gesturing a little bit in... You can't hear them, by the way. Froseth can lip read a fair bit of this. But beyond that, they're keeping their voices to a pitch where you get a general sense of tone, and they're sounding a little less officious now. Except Jahavarian, but that's kind of his default. Extraplanar traveler. Human with a relationship to Bahamut that I thought gods had better taste. Tiefling engaged in a pact with an archfey. Dragonborn survivor. Paladin of two gods. Then they look at Alice and she's just on a theological level kind of Palor's granddaughter. Kinda. It's complicated. What about the cagey human?
Where was Ava from?
Cedar Grove.
Cedar Grove.
She's from Cedar Grove. She's a good shot with a bow. Good tracker. Usually helps us
Free.
move a bit more quietly.
Free. We have to ask her. This is bigger than scientific curiosity. And being the granddaughter of a god isn't. Yeah, but that's me. I can talk about me all day if you let me. Anything interesting about the half-elf?
Everything's interesting.
You can't hear this.
Aw.
That was a great response.
Oh.
I'm very confident you will learn something interesting from Hazel if you just wind her up.
Okay. Quick question. Fro says actually laughing?
Well, I'm assuming Remy's back would probably be towards Froseth, so he wouldn't be able to lip read that.
Feeling that given the because they wanted everybody to basically have a look, and Remy did have to shift a little bit to get back into everybody's line of sight. I'm gonna say yes, you did catch that.
Then yes, he laughed.
So yeah, all of a sudden you see Versa start laughing.
Are you
Darwin just
alive?
goes,
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Please don't die. I'm gonna cast healing word on him.
I'm just wondering if this is an insight versus deception check thing.
I mean, they're not trying to hide, are they?
No, but Froseth might be.
Oh.
Darwin just
Because
took him at his
I'm
word.
insight
Just
check-
was
I'm
like,
gonna-
Yevil. He's just like,
So I'm gonna insight check and cast healing word on him.
Okay, if Froseth wants to keep that on the down low, give me a deception check.
He's not really trying to hide anything. He's just not saying it.
Yeah, but there's still a certain amount of body language involved in the difference between they said something about you and I thought of something funny. Well, it's fair. Basically, what you're getting from Furseth is Remy said something. It was very apt, also very funny. It was slightly at your expense, but only from the having known you too long and too well perspective, and I'm never going to tell you.
Remy had a phrasing moment.
No.
No.
Remy was probably it's that Remy was a little bit too honest about you.
Oh, I get it now. I did.
Meanwhile, all of this is Hazel just inferring. So yeah, I'm sure you're going to have to go back and tie up a couple of negotiation loose ends, but if we promise to keep what we know to ourselves, we want to know why the human's hiding. We understand you need to ask her. But to be fair, we do exist in a society where people who are less than forthcoming about their identities have occasionally been either rival scholars themselves or the agents thereof. And given our worldview, we are not simply going to trust no, they're not with no further explanation.
All right.
How much help we give you depends on how forthcoming people are willing to be. And we will keep it to as much information as we can receive this evening and a dinner when you return. If you don't return, then you've probably failed anyway, so...
Fair enough.
So if you'd like to take those terms back to your associates... And Alizé just steps back. Well, I helped.
Yep. Thank you.
That's cool. You were better at the straight up dealing, but you had to do more than just offer them effectively offer them a contract. You were offering them a contract. Now that we're at the contract end of this is good. But I'm gonna let you break it to Ava.
They're very observant, Ava, about you not being as forthcoming looking. You get this, it's just their nature to want to uncover everything. And they said
Also, there's the whole thing where they're worried that you might be a rival scholar or the agent thereof, and they're not going to believe you or not unless you tell them actually who you are.
They're interested in everybody, to be fair, and amount of knowledge given in equal exchange for what they tell us about finding the correct purple worm within the reasonable amount of time to talk this evening, and then again once we return.
And the information would stay here. It wouldn't.
Yeah, you get that.
Yeah, they did promise it wouldn't go any further than them. They just, I think it's that they want to know exactly how. They're not going to believe that you're not a rival scholar unless you can offer them a more compelling reason that you would hide your identity from people you've never met.
Yeah.
Because It seems like a lot of the here doesn't really care about any of the scenarios from Baronsphere, do they?
Why would they? Over and through the rock is kind of podunk, and they hate us, or
That's
that's
kind of
what
the
we've
point.
been told anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at here. It's they basically, that's the whole reason why they won't go sharing it around willy-nilly or doing anything malicious, because so long as you're not a rival scholar, they're not going to care.
And to be fair, they're more likely to keep it to themselves, because if we fix things in Baronsphere, which is gonna come out eventually anyway, that's what we're doing. They get a line to nobility
Mm.
if you're staying nobility, and even if not, you still have a line to it, as it were. I mean, with a couple of exceptions, that just does not entirely go away. I mean, we still have connections with. I mean, Darvin still has connections with Francine.
Yeah, I mean, aside from mom and dad, she all the time I spent there, she practically raised me.
We had a Baron napping in Hearthhome.
Well, I mean, it's not them that I'm particularly worried about. It's if we coming through here, any other adventurer group could get through here.
Yeah, and they're not bards; they're scientists.
Sure.
They don't sing songs and dance dances in taverns. They write carefully footnoted research papers that take years.
And in about 50% of cases, probably get buried under the mountain of other papers.
Or at the very least, if they're read by anybody, they're read by other scientists.
True.
I'm assuming. I don't know. It
Or
just doesn't seem.
Calistiel.
Well, yeah, a fellow scientist.
Yeah, true.
And theoretically me, but that's because I'm a weird kind of adventurer. Why do you think I know about some of the creatures I know about? I haven't ran into all of them. I got permission to visit a wing of the Silver Vault that gave some information on, hunting and wildlife that I hadn't personally seen and stuff like that. That's how I knew about all the desert shit. But anything written down is there anyway. So if somebody can find if somebody can access the right wing and reads the correct footnote in the Antechamber of Stars, it's written down anyway. Hell, your diary entries are there. Everything written down, Darvin.
Right. Okay. Good to know.
Not that. How likely is it that the person who's reading it knows who the hell you are? If they're checking out a book on Bard Notes or
Oh no. That trust me, it's something else entirely. Don't worry about it.
or Baronsphere Noble's diaries.
We have to go to the Silver Vault.
We had to go up north anyway. It's apparently becoming a thing now between riding moose, direwolf bobsleds, meeting the people and learning how to shut up, and the Silver Vault in general. Yeah, apparently that's big on the list. But yeah, the other thing we didn't mention and we should probably cover first, just in case anything goes like horribly wrong, we have to tell them about the black shit.
Yep.
That
100%.
I want them to write papers about until the cows come home, but we need to reassure them about Ava.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
If we want anything,
There are point where it tells people anyway.
they promised they wouldn't say anything. Is cool.
Alright.
Besides, you know what I say to anything that's gonna come trying to mess with you.
I know.
Good. Do I
Guess
need to
I'll-
Do I need to back you up again, Ray?
You'd always back me up.
One point that they might like, I could share my notes on the black stuff. I've been taking.
That's a good source, actually.
That is a good thought, and it saves us having to talk at them about it, because I don't think I want to be telling stories about that out loud in an underground tavern.
Oh.
So would you mind if we sort of, and maybe they have a means of copying them, we just say read those first of all, and then tell our actual stories, or some of them tonight, get our information and head out in the morning, and pay them the rest of what we owe when we come back triumphant.
Yeah.
Hey, for the two mercenaries among us, at least it doesn't cut into the actual financial bit and piece. We still owe our percentage to the mining consortium.
So Clarity goes back into her haversack. and
Oh,
pulls out-
we're gonna kind of gather, but
Okay.
but we want to seal the bargain first. It's a merc thing.
Mhm.
Back they
Luck.
go. 5 sets of scientist eyes looking at Remy.
So, all of us are willing to share our experiences, and Clarity has some notes on something we've encountered that does need to be shared. That's
Something
great danger.
that would be of particular interest to Kaisra. Eyes come up over the book. And grabby hand.
Oh,
And
God.
they're all looking at her like
God.
she's always been interested in things, but I've never seen her actually attempt. Is this your attempt at demanding?
Why are drow so goddamn adorable?
Because Edgelord is out.
Yes.
And Hope Punk is in. Sorry, it's the only thing I could think of that was opposite of Edgelord.
Yeah. Edgelord is out. Care Bear is in. Okay, this basically tilts it to yes. I'm sorry. All those things that you have alluded to in papers in a warning, but I don't really know how to put this to words way were actually a thing. I hope she takes better notes than you did. I was traumatized, you ass. But Jahavarian is giving her this look right up until Alice grabs him by the face. Trust me. You don't want to give her that look. Wait until you've read the notes before you give anybody that look, because you're just going to embarrass yourself.
Half worked by the face.
It's just with face too.
Oh God, this is great.
See, isn't it much nicer when you're not walking around with your head up your ass? You can see so much more clearly that way. I'm sorry, but I'm just about fed up with you. The Hoffling holds up 9.8. couple of points off for enjoying that just a little bit too much. Fair, but I'm not apologizing. I did enjoy that a lot. You have to take your joys in life where you can. Erases the 9.9. I live with that. So we'll gather up and let the tale telling begin. Sorry, some of us are not as wordy. I think that might be for the best. Is there any chance that anybody else is going to grab Jahavarian by the face? And Jahavarian is just...
Depends on what questions you ask.
Doesn't look the type. What about the Minotaur?
No, he's friendly.
Yeah, but at least so is she, right up until she isn't, and then she's grabbing people by the face.
So like
I'm sorry,
I said,
I kind of want to see the Minotaur grab the half-orc by the face. I have a name.
depends on
Yes,
the
but the
questions.
half-orc is actually shorter. And there are no other half-orcs here, so we all know who you're talking about. It's not like saying the human. The gnome has a very important point. The gnome is just...
Oh my god, these goobers!
And Alice just gestures you guys over.
Gets up and heads on.
And Kaiser is sort of leaning in Clarity's general direction, just... Please note,
Huh.
I have a way of copying them very, very quickly. I understand why you wouldn't want to talk about it out loud here, but they need to see it from somebody who wasn't freaking out when they experienced the whole thing.
Understandable. I'm just carefully making sure it's the right one because
Yeah.
she has a lot of notebooks.
Yeah. But you do notice Kaiser's actually smiling a little bit, tilts eyes up towards Jaravane. I'm glad you understand. Some people didn't. Some people understand a little better now. Then Jahavarian just rubbing his face and glaring at Alice, just... He was being an ass. I got a 9.9. Apparently I enjoyed it just a little bit too much.
Darvin just goes, just sort of congratulatory bow there.
I don't think I don't think you're supposed to win by physical force, but it wasn't really physical force. It was punctuation. Very emphatic punctuation. And once Clarity has found the right book, she... Thank you. I'll be very, very careful with it. And she does. She opens it carefully. Sets another notebook down next to it. Gives it a tap, 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 and your words in handwriting that's not yours. Apparently, it sticks to the handwriting of the writer as she starts filling up the notebook. She's sort of glancing through as it's writing. And, well, we've lost Kaisra, but that's all right. That looks busy. So, given that we're coming up to time, and I'd actually like us to get to combat readiness next session. Brief overview of what y'all are going to be giving these people as informational bits and pieces, because Alice is just literally going to be, I thought I was human. I'm honest, given my human parents, I'm not entirely sure why I thought that. And then explains why it was pretty clear that she wasn't. Basically, brief potted overview and figuring out that, oh yeah, actually, Solar was kind of responsible for me, and I found that out because, and then Remy.
Oh, I had a...
Just overview. Overview is fine, Noms.
Remy explains the resurrection incident
Yeah, and then they're giving Hazel some looks, but they focus on you for the time being. But they're sort of, we're putting a pin in that.
And kind of getting closer to Zeriel and having Pedor's light at her disposal now, and then, to her surprise, to speak with Tritharion again and receive a new mark from him. And now she has more powers to swiftly deliver justice.
And then they kind of look in Hazel's direction. With the you did what?
I channeled a lot more of Palor's divine light than I probably should have at the time. And I'm just going to expound on feeling like burning.
Yeah, and you can flag up that that was at least partially because Zeriel was probably taking some of the overflow. That would be what your wisdom would assume is why you managed it, because he did say he interceded.
Going to bring up that it was probably Zerial that pulled enough of the overflow out so that I didn't immediately immolate.
No.
And then veer into explaining Mom and Mama, and veering into from there ideas on what happens if we speed along sorting this mess out.
They actually have to stop Hazel after a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to keep going until they shut me up, basically.
It's mostly that Alice catches the looks and just crams a leftover bread roll into Hazel's face.
Uncle.
Darvin gets the look next.
And with a nod toward Remy a little bit, with the holding up the mark.
Remember, it's all the way up.
Right. I'm getting to that, but first was the mark, and then.
Well, no. First was that. The mark came later.
Right. Well, the mark is the easiest thing to show first,
Yeah.
and then reaching up and kind of just pulls that down a little, and that was after getting notice, and then just talking over that situation, that moment where he made the vow he made, and and Bahamut apparently going, really? Let's see about that.
So many notes.
Oh yeah, and then and the vision, and just the shift in Darvin from Lord of Valor. Of course, not in those terms, but and just
you can, because those two colleges were named.
Oh, okay. And just becoming more of what he should have been, and then flagging up his own personal connection and experience with the black stuff as well. But read the notes first. Read the notes first, and then that's pretty much it.
And again, Alice is just read the notes, because we don't want to be talking about this shit in an underground space.
Right. Point.
We said that.
We did. I got caught up in
and shoves the bread roll in his face. And then Ava.
She's gonna give a name and explain why she's reluctant to divulge it, because she's trying not to draw the attention on herself from her beloved sister.
Although Alice does kind of break in there, going, actually, I personally kind of hope that she does get half sister's attention, because me and that other winged bitch need to have a conversation.
Oh, we do as well, but
I'll save you some. She sent me to the fucking Shadowfell. Scientists perk up. That's after you come back.
And the main reason being, last time we encountered her, really go to us. Wanting to make sure I'm ready for it next time. mostly.
Yeah, but you have us now.
True.
Glances at first that they're saving Barnabas very much for last at this point.
Which is going to yoink him.
You're muted.
There. Yep.
There
we
you go.
Okay. Yeah. Froseth will basically give an overview of that ritual.
And we can't hear you anymore.
No?
Oh,
Hello?
there you go. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
there we go.
You cut out. I don't know why.
It's probably Mike. But yeah, Froseth will give a overview for that whole ritual and guiding the energies for the birth of the heart, or rebirth of the heart.
Polinia is asking for blood samples at this point.
Oh my god.
Damn it.
Jahavarian is just like, when they come back, they're going to need all of their blood in it. But he recover overnight. Aquilinia, he needs to get used to getting stuck with things if he's going after something that will bite. And what if he doesn't come back? It's his decision. And he's just getting a look from Jahavarian, which really is just tell her yes or no. Whatever shuts her up. I don't care.
Sure, why not?
And yeah, it's unfortunately kind of an old-timey needle because there are some limits. So you take 2 points of piercing damage from this thing, but because it is really one of the big old-timey. So thank you so very, very much.
As he's describing the ritual, I'm going to prestidigitate some sparks for effect. With the bread roll still in my face.
Stacks a second bread roll on top of the first one, and you just keep stacking. I keep doing this until you stop or they all fall over. Standing on the table.
Yeah, I've done it. I did it like the once for the instantaneous effect, and after like the first like 3 rolls, that's probably more than enough.
And Clarity is just getting archfey.
So, and then I describe like reading about Nye and Nye coming up and his relationship with the Archfey and what they all did to the group, and then still knowing that I went into this agreement with the Archfey after she approached me, showed interest in me.
That will remind you that actually what happened was the herald of the 2 of them came up and said, if you agree to do me a tiny favor later on, I will give you I will give your offer to the less destructive one.
Right. And so yeah, and that I made a pact with her, still knowing that that all the shit that they got, that the 2 of them had sort of
you're
put them up to it.
And then Barnabas.
Barnabas is going to, let's see, general overview of Ravnica. The plane, the megalopolis, a little bit of the history, a little bit about Minotaurs, how he's weird, foundling raised by humans. And then gives him the whole how he got here story with the is it experiment and somehow being thrown through the planes. And then after he arrived, he could do that demonstrates the Echo Knight thing.
The blood sample needle comes out again.
He's just used to is it nonsense at this point, isn't he?
Blood, and there may have been a couple of fur shedding bits that they've also taken away for later study. But they didn't actually pull any out by the roots, so they're being respectful, mostly. And this takes a while, because that's a lot.
For this, Clarity is also taking notes.
While Clarity is taking notes, and this is why you're adorable, Smooch.
Once that's finally done, because again we're at it and a little bit past it, I will just say that they do provide you with a crystal that will start glowing brighter when you are in the vicinity of Bitey's tag. The brighter it is, the closer Bitey is. Give you an approximate map location that Bitey was last seen. And, to be honest, that's about the best you could ask, because it does save you from tramping an awful lot of places.
Mm.
And, the Javarian's like, besides, it looks like we are not the only ones who got some notes from this. Looking at Clarity, you still filling in bits about Ravnica.
Do they give any ideas as how to not make too much noise or attract any other mistake? Like, would my pass without a trace spell help with that? Or?
Not actually, because it's pass without trace, if I recall correctly, is more about the sound that you are making.
Mm.
And it's more that they feel you.
So unless we were
And
levitating, basically.
no, you cannot do that for all of that. That's a
No, I know, but unless we were, there's nothing.
Not you. That's a novelty item, damn it.
Oh, I see who's plotting.
I might let you have it at a clutch moment in combat, but you are not bubblegum levitating through the Corbreva mining tunnels. You don't even have quite enough for that for all 8 of you.
Probably not. No.
Particularly not given, 2 of them are kind of larger than the average, and one of them is in heavier armor than the usual, and it would probably take more than 1 bubble to go at any speed.
I have 3 packs of 5.
To save that for Clarity is intelligent. Better to save that for clutch moments. We don't want them to know where that one's standing, because that one's too wounded to take another hit. So I'll levitate them, and Hazel can just healing word touch. But I could see the thought crossing your mind.
Literal, actual chaos engine.
It has applications, but don't push it. So clutch amusement value, I will respect you for. Pushing your luck, I will start taking things away.
I wasn't going to use it on the whole party.
Anyway, so yeah, you mostly get it. Might help for some things, but it will probably not help for the purple worm.
Okay, we'll just have to.
And Alice is, it helps for other things. Trust me when I say, you don't want a flock of cloakers.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that one later.
Yeah.
And after you've exchanged bits and pieces and finished your last bits of coffee very quickly before we wind down, because I know Hazel still has a drink.
About that time for that, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So Hazel is drinking this thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the glass, tap it on one of Clarity's horns, and then down it.
Hazel's hair turns the same shade of pink as the drink was, and it's kind of it's giggling on its own with no mood. It's like the little tentacles are lifting it into this kind of cotton candy corona around her head. The bow is kind of
Floating.
up there, kind of.
Witness me!
You know, I think that color kind of suits you a little bit, actually.
It does not go with that shade of green.
Oh, well, no. That's true.
Wonder if I could get this in green.
Oh my goodness.
I did ask. They said that was the only color they had in something fluffy but amusing. I was going for fluffy but amusing.
You succeeded.
Maybe
You very much succeeded.
maybe in a more specialty. I mean, this is kind of middle of nowhere. This is podunk for this place. So maybe other places have a variety of colors. I don't know. Anyway, that apparently wears off in about an hour. So enjoy. Room keys. But Barnabas gets a room of his own because Alice basically went. Yeah. I know that they've probably made some rooms that are for that are comfortable for larger sapients, but you always get so self-conscious about it. I thought for one night it might be nice for you not to have to worry. You're muted. Still muted.
So you're like actively, you have the mute function on.
On this, yeah.
There you go. Except now we still can't hear you.
Somehow I muted myself with push to talk. Anyway, Barnabas is incredibly. Thank you very much. This will be very nice.
Ava gets the same treatment. She gets to be the lady again. And people tuck off into their various rooms for a night's sleep in actual beds before they go hunting a purple worm, which we will do in 2 weeks' time because we are running very late. But
very quick conversation because I don't want it to get forgotten before.
It's 1:15 in the morning for me. It's 2:15.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Make a note, please. Make a note.
Okay. All right.
Anyway, later, guys.
Okay. Bye.